Hey guys, it's Luca, and today I want to talk about a spec that I made, kind of like fun spec. I don't know how good this spec is going to be. Basically, looking at Portent of Calamity. Reveal the top X cards of your library. For each card type, you may exile a card of that type from among them. Put the rest to your graveyard. You may cast a spell from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. If you exile 4 more cards this way, then put the rest of the exiled cards into your hand. Wait, put the rest of your okay. So kind of like most cards that have come out recently in the past few years, you have like a whole wall of text, but effectively it's like draw X cards. It's not quite draw X cards. If you cast it for 2 mana, it basically cycles, but you have to reveal the card. If you cast it for 3 mana, it's pretty close to divination, but could be worse if you hit 2 of the same card types. If you hit like 2 creatures or 2 lands, you can get screwed. Now, if you cast it for X equals 4, it's probably going to be like a draw 3. Not that great. But if you're casting it for X equals 5 or 6 or 7, it's game breaking because you're probably going to be able to cast a spell for free. Depending on what your deck is doing, if your deck is doing something crazy like Emrakul in Modern, let's say, then you kind of win the game on the spot. But if your deck is, if it's like a standard deck, maybe you hit like a 5-drop or a 6-drop, and then it's like 6 mana, you don't lose tempo because you play a 6-drop, and you draw 4 cards or whatever. Yeah, I don't know like how broken this card is. It has some potential. The other thing that I really like about this card too is it's got to be good in EDH. It has to be good in EDH, right? Um, so going for specs, that's probably like one of the biggest factors is like, is it good in EDH? So basically this seems like a good EDH card. The floor of this card, so if you're like analyzing a card in terms of how good it is and constructed, one of the things you want to think about is like, what's the floor of this card? Like, what's a worst case scenario with this card? Actually, the worst case scenario of this card is it cycles for 2 mana, which isn't terrible for your X mana spell. Obviously it's not great, especially in a format like Pioneer or Standard. Probably like spending 2 mana to cycle is probably devastating in the early game. But that being said, it just seemed really cheap, so I bought 130 copies, and I got them for about 30 cents a copy. So you can see here, I kind of like I covered my address, but here's just a couple of the things that I bought. So if you go on TCG Player, you can look for sellers that have 4 or more copies of a card, and then sort by individual price. So then you can kind of get some nice bulk deals. So there were some sellers I got as much as 30 copies from. So this is just 2 of the sellers. I think I bought from like 6 sellers or whatever, 6 or 7 sellers. So I bought 130 copies of this card. I paid a total of 48 bucks. Let's see how this spec goes. I feel like I should be able to sell these for $1 each, right? So if I can sell these for $1 each, I'm happy because I got them for 30 to 40 cents each. So then I double my money if I can sell them for $1. The best case scenario, they go to like $4 or $5 or whatever. So it just seemed really strange to me that they were like 25 cents each. It seemed like why is it so cheap? But maybe I'll be wrong. But yeah, that was a spec. More fun than anything. It's kind of like whenever you're speculating on brand new cards, it's really, really high variance because it's hard to analyze cards in the moment. But yeah, that was my spec. So about 130 Portent of Calamity. Let me know what you guys think about this spec. You think it's a good spec, a bad spec? Post in the comments. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.